That's the defensive side and a little bit of fragility. Let's move on and talk about the attacking prowess of Liverpool then. 19 shots in the game, Josh, 2.2 XG. Most 10 of those shots on target. Like, it's Liverpool in terms of an attacking outlet. We're very, very good. Obviously, score 4 goals, up 4 different forwards getting them. There's a load of different reasons why Liverpool attacked, but let's start by talking about Hugo Ekitike and his performance. Scores, assists, gets 4 shots, drops in deep, links up the play, could have got a fella sent off, probably should have got a fella sent off on the halfway line.
Yeah.
Again, building on the back of his Community Shield performance, this looked even better. Like, I was very, very impressed. What did you make of him?
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was probably Liverpool's best player on the day.
Agreed.
I think he was a big threat for Bournemouth to worry about, but crucially in like different ways. So he offered that threat in behind. That's why the player panics and handballs it. Should have went. I agree. But then, if you restrict him from doing that and you force him to drop deep, he can then still connect with really cute flicks around the corner and, you know, a nice first touch and all that. Whereas someone like a Nunes and even a Haaland, to be honest, if you force them to engage in that kind of game, they suddenly look a bit weird, like a fish out of water. So he looks quite complete. He looks more of a finished product than I originally thought.
Yep.
I thought we were signing him, because if you're getting him alongside Isak, it looks like you're buying him as the rough diamond and Isak as the ready-made, you know, fresh out the oven kind of player. But Ekitike just looks like, I think a lot of people now are almost relaxed on the Isak situation because of how good he's done so far.
Yeah, I think for me, what I've learned from him, I think Liverpool, if it's not going to be Alexander Isak, and we'll find out how that goes over the next couple of weeks, they'll need to sign a forward because they haven't got enough. But I don't think anyone, again, it's very early stages, is that concerned if he's your leading number 9 and you're going by someone who fills in for him or who can play wide and do a job up front. I don't know who that would be, and there's a million different names linked out there. For example, when Rodrigo's name was out there, like,
I was thinking that.
Yeah, someone who can play wide and probably start wide, but if you need him to play forward, he can. I don't know where Liverpool are at with that, but you are right. It kind of negates the idea of you have to go and get the ideal centre forward number 9, because yeah, it's early days, but he's performing so well. I've got something I'd like to show you, Josh, because you mentioned before about like him getting linked up in the game. I've got a viz here of his heat map from the game, and this is where Hugo Ekitike, he touches the ball, by the way, 33 times in 72 minutes, and most of them, for those listening, it's in the centre circle. He got most of his touches in the centre circle, a little bit like in what you'd call a number 10 range, and then a few in the box, including ultimately where he scores his goal from. I'm going to compare that to this is against Bournemouth, obviously. Darwin Núñez last year against Bournemouth, who played as number 9, he doesn't touch the ball once in the centre circle. Everything is up the pitch, in behind. By the way, Núñez scored in that game, a very good goal.
Yeah.
And Liverpool win. So this isn't a criticism, it's just different ways of different people doing anything. And then one more, I've got Luis Diaz in a home game last year. This was later on in the season. And when he's playing centre forward, again, he doesn't touch the ball at all in the centre circle. He is predominantly left-hand side. Now, to be fair, in that game, I think he got moved over a little bit later. But it is interesting that that's our centre forwards doing that thing where they drop in deep and want to get on the ball. He's clearly very, very comfortable and adept at doing it. And he's, what I noticed, Josh, he can do both. You can give it to him and he can hold it, he can lay it off. But he will sense the opportunity to see Florian Wirtz running behind him, a little back heel or a little flick around the corner. That's what I took away from his game. Other than, like I say, the overall composure for the goal. He looks like you can use him more in your build-up than perhaps Liverpool have had strikers in the recent past.
Yeah, since Firmino, you could argue, really. But that's what I mean, like, he just a really complete performance, really. Like the 2.2 expected goals that Liverpool created in the match, Ekitike was behind 1.2 of that. When it comes to, like, I think 1.1 of it was his shots, you know, him getting shots in valuable areas, and 0.1 was a shot that he must have created for someone else. But that's, you know, he's basically essentially central to everything that Liverpool created in that game, while also doing facilitator stuff in withdrawn areas and things like that. And I think he was a keen presser as well. You know, it's worth saying that. So he does look like he ticks most boxes. Like he there's not a lot of weaknesses there attached to his game. And how old is he? 23, something like that. You know, he's got a seriously high ceiling as a player.
I've got another numbers here, because again, going back to those games, he touched the ball in this game. He was on the pitch for 72 minutes. He's touched it 33 times. Last year against Bournemouth, again, different situations a little bit, but Darwin was on the pitch for the same amount of time, touched it 22 times, so 11 times fewer. Nunes in the game I showed before was on the pitch for 75 minutes. He touched it 25 times. I know you and Chris spoke a lot about this last year. Like, Liverpool actually struggle to get the ball to their centre forward sometimes. They just don't touch the ball a lot. Whether it be Mohamed Salah gets it all, or it goes down. Again, it was often through the left via Diaz or Gakpo, whoever's there. Trent Alexander-Arnold chewed the ball, because why wouldn't you give the ball to Trent as often as you can? You want him to be a creative spark. I do wonder if, without Alexander-Arnold and Liverpool becoming a more normal team in terms of build-up, very, very few teams build through the right back. It's impossible.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's giving him a little bit of a benefit as well. Actually, we are actually having to use him more, whereas the forwards of especially last year, they didn't really need to be involved because Liverpool created tons of chances and they did it in unconventional ways. Where this Liverpool team feels like a more, conventional football team where you've got fullbacks who bomb on, you've got wingers who stay wide, you've got midfielders who you want to get on the ball and you want to play your striker in. It feels a little bit more normal, if that makes sense. Yeah,
but to an extent though, like, almost regardless of how you do it, he looks rounded enough to be able to contribute. Regardless. Like, for example, the defensive line there, there's Nunes, right? So that's kind of what the dynamic that Nunes offered. Nunes would always play on the shoulder of a centre-half department, always playing in the box, running in behind. It was always kind of like a vertical game, really, with Nunes. But anything that you've expected him to do when it comes to this, maybe drifting out wide, maybe connecting in tiny little spaces, you realised, okay, he's limited. He can't quite do it. He's wearing Timberland boots. So Ekitike is different in that sense. Ekitike can go in behind and all that, but if you ask him to drop, if you ask him to drift out wide, which we've seen him do, Slot mentions, the left-sided forward is an option for him if Isak joins. You then, you're opening doors tactically. You can do different things with him. I think the one thing you could argue he could work on, based on the first two performances we've seen, is he's going to get, and he has already got, plenty of opportunities when it comes to headers. But he snatches at them, maybe you could argue. He's not getting the nicest contact on them. If he can work on his headers and improve with them, he's going to get a lot of them. Because of you've got Keikos on one side, you've got Frimpong on the other side, Salah's cutting inside and delivering towards the back stick nowadays. Gakpo does the same from the other side. So, and Wirtz, Wirtz is taking set pieces and things like that. So, if he can get his headers right, he's going to score even more.
It was interesting because, again, we have very low sample sizes. We spoke in the summer a little bit about his XG underperformance, and you and Chris spoke a little bit about it, and depending on which outlet you use or whatever, he underperformed. Like, he was one of the worst in Europe, effectively, in terms of goals.
The worst.
The worst, his goals compared to his XG. Now, again, that is a fluid stat, and if you looked at other seasons, he was in and around where he needs to be. He doesn't look like a lad who misses sitters yet. Like, the Eden thing, maybe, but when you see that in your mind, I was thinking, and I watched some highlights, I was thinking, he snatches a little bit, he isn't quite clean. From what I look like, from what I've seen, and again, it's been, less than 2 full games of him, a friendly game and a community shield and then 1 league game, he looks very composed, and that's what shocked me the most. You'd expect a young lad who the stats say is a little bit erratic to be a little bit more erratic, but I've been very impressed by how assured he looks, and both goals he scored for us this season have been, he hasn't rocketed either of them. He's just found...
He's connected with them.
He's connected well, and he's put it one in the corner what the goalie couldn't get to, and the other one he's kind of give the goalie the eyes a little bit. That suggests to me he's a lad who has got a little bit of fire in the belly but ice in the brain. It isn't all rough and tumble and I need 17 shots to score 14 goals. He does look like a lad who can if you create 20 chances for him, he'll score 20 goals.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be an insistent one, actually, following that this season, because overperformance, underperformance when it comes to finishing, it does fluctuate massively. So there's every chance this season he overperforms his expected goals, and it's just one of them, the way it works. But I think some of the underperformance maybe, and the reputation for snatching at chances or whatever, stems from, I think sometimes he can take a shot where you just don't need to shoot, but because he'll decide to shoot and might rush it because it's not the optimal choice, he will then not connect very well with it, and it'll just roll into the goalkeeper's arms, and that counts as a shot, but it was never going in, and that's not very good or anything like that. So, you know, it impacts your perception of him on the eye test and all that sort of thing. But I think one thing me and Chris looked at was when he gets those sitters, he does tend to convert them, and he gets more sitters than Nunes got. He gets a lot inside the 6-yard box. So they're essentially tap-ins, and when those come up, he is fine with them. It was more like, I think the point we made with the finishing was, he's not quite as likely to just out of nowhere get you out of jail.
Score a worldie.
Yeah, but with a worldie. Say, for example, someone like Luis Suarez would do that. Harry Kane, you could argue, maybe. Son Heung-min. Some strikers out there will just score a worldie, or something out the ordinary, or something that's genius. To be fair, his goal in the Community Shield was really, really good. That was along those lines, I suppose. But most of them, I think, will come within the width of the 6-yard box around the pen spot. And when he gets those chances, he'll score them. He just won't score that many from, you know, the corners of the box or outside the area or whatever. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully he does.
Yeah, I say the heading thing. If you can get that sorted, Liverpool are going to create chances. From what we've seen already, Liverpool are creating loads of chances. They might need to score loads of goals as well if they don't sort the defender out. But he's going to get ample opportunity, and I'm fascinated to see, because there was a school of thought of, like, obviously we all know Liverpool bid £100 million plus for Alexander Isak, so they clearly wanted him. And I was like, well, why are we signing Ekitike for? I know Jamie Carragher's been big on this. When you spend £70 million on a striker, he's not going to be on your bench. It might be that he ends up out wide, and you know, Cody Gakpo in particular might take umbrage with that one. But what I've been so impressed by, I could see a world where he could play left wing. I hope at times he might have to, and I hope he does well there, but he doesn't look like a lad who you stick him on the wing and he's going to flounder. He looks like he's got the all-round game to be able to do that kind of stuff, which bodes well. And if Liverpool don't get the striker over the line, you're more than comfortable with him being your number 9 for the season as well. Yeah,
I'd also be curious to see him as a 10 in a weird sort of way. Like, I think if Wirtz needs a break, or let's say we want to use Wirtz on the left or whatever, or I think Ekitike behind and Isak, because of how good he looks in those tight spaces, I think the midfield too would have to be disciplined. Like, I don't think you could play McAllister, Szoboszlai, Ekitike, because some people argue that the 10 that we play is more of a midfielder in touch with that too than a forward.
Yeah, agreed.
So if you're doing that kind of thing, then no, you can't play it. But if you're playing with more of like a 4-2-4,
Gravenberch, McAllister.
Yeah, Gravenberch, McAllister. If we're going to be, you know, always in the centre and just largely moving side to side as opposed to vertically, I think he could link with an Isak really well. But as I said, the midfield dynamic would have to be spot on, and the fullbacks probably would have to be tucking it. You probably need the Conor Bradley on the pitch as opposed to a Frimpong. But lots of options.
Yeah, I've been very, very impressed. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts so far on Hugo Ekitike. Mightily impressed. I know Ian Young on a few shows ago called him like the forgotten £70 million striker. It's rare that teams spend so much money on a striker and no one talks about him, but to be fair, 2 games in, everyone's been talking about Hugo Ekitike so far, so long may that continue.
That was a clip from the deep dive. To check out the whole show, head to redmenplus.com or click the link in the description.